Hi, people of the interwebs. Today I want to talk about role-playing, and this is very much prompted by the fact that I just finished a weekend of nothing but pen and paper role-playing games. There was a role-playing convention here where I live. This happens every year apparently. I did not know about this prior. But I went there Friday at 6 p.m. and started playing. I was there the whole Saturday and the whole Sunday, and I finished playing Sunday evening at 12:30 in the freaking night. And it was awesome. I want to talk about getting into role-playing games, and I am very much at the beginning, though I feel like I have a much better footing after this weekend. To me, role-playing always was something I wanted to do for years, but that seemed really daunting to get into if you didn't know people who already had experience with gaming. Because at first you need to find a group, you need to find a game master who knows what they're doing or semi-knows what they're doing, and if you have never played a role-playing game, you have to get used to the world and the rules and everything. I feel like the more role-playing games you play, the easier it is to adapt to new formats. And so, I mean, my first venture into role-playing games is the most common, the most well-known role-playing format, which is Dungeons and Dragons, and mainly by watching stuff. There's this live stream called Critical Role, which is a bunch of nerdy-ass voice actors who meet every Thursday and stream their D&D session, and it is amazeballs, and obviously link in the doobly-doo. And the other thing I'm listening to at the moment is a podcast from the One Shot Network, and they have two main podcasts going on, which is the One Shot podcast, a new role-playing format every 3 or 4 episodes, stuff that's being kickstarted right now, stuff that's kind of more established. It's a really awesome mix. And then there is the campaign podcast, it's a ongoing Star Wars Edge of the Empire campaign, and it's hilarious and moving, gripping, and it's just so worth listening to all the 50-something episodes that are out now. Anyway, I got into those things, and the need that I felt to playing myself increased. I didn't really know people in my area who wanted to play D&D or anything, so I got a group online, people from the UK, from Finland, me from Germany. We played over Google Hangout, D&D 5th edition, that is, and that was an awesome start. That was the first time I actually played myself. I vaguely knew the rules from watching live streams and stuff like that, but to actually know what I was doing, I got this baby here reading up on them rules, which is surprisingly fun to just read a rule book. And that was fun, but I realized as the role-playing convention was coming closer, I felt like I wasn't prepared enough. I thought, well, you know, I played my 4 D&D sessions. That doesn't mean I can just walk into a room full of people who've played role-playing games for years and just sign up for a session and be like, hey, here I am, can I join? Do they want people there who basically don't know what they're doing? And so I was really worried, and I arrived there on Friday, and there was still a seat free on a format I've never played before, Badlands, a role-playing game set during the American Civil War. And most of the people in the round had never played that format. And as soon as the DM described the rules, I was like, okay, this is not D&D. I don't roll a d20 for perception and then add my shit and whatnot, but this is really similar. I have to roll a lot more d6s and d10s and whatnot, but I have modifiers. I've got all that jazz going on. There are similarities, and I feel like once the first 20 minutes rolled around, it was awesome. We stayed there until 1 a.m. And then the next day I came in and I played Star Wars Edge of the Empire, which was cool, because all I was thinking about was the campaign podcast. And then I played this amazing game called New Hong Kong Story. It takes the core concept of a game that was made but never got any traction. It's the idea that you're playing an actor who plays a character in a kung fu movie. You want to do stunts to get star points, and basically you have 4 people or whatever in a room in a movie scene trying to be the coolest person, and hilarity ensues. And the guy who was DMing made the game. That was an awesome experience because obviously he just knew what he was talking about. You know, if one of the players was like, well, can I stab the guy in the neck and do a somersault over him and then land on the guy behind him and strangle him with my legs? He would be like, yeah, you can do that. You have to roll this and this. Side note, the awesome thing for me with that game is you have to roll under a certain number, and the more difficult the stunt is you're doing, the lower that number is. But I have that chronic issue called rolling fucking low. So I did quite well. And then we had a really loopy game of Fiasco because it was really late and everyone was really tired. And then the next day, Sunday, I got in pretty early and I played a pretty rad sci-fi game, which I do not remember the name of because I just signed up, which, yeah, I just played everything that I could. And we got a pretty brutal outcome, I think. There could have been some negotiations that completely passed us by, and so we spaced most of their enemies. And then there came the evening of Sunday, and with it, the most dramatic game of the weekend, Monster of the Week. It was described to me as a Buffy meets X-Files urban fantasy adventure, and I was like, yes, this is my, yep, this is my thing. You get a group of core character templates that you can pick, and then you can build them up. Like, you can modify them to your liking. There's the mundane, which basically is the human character between the supernatural characters. Then there is the scientist, which is more your Scully character. And then there's the divine, he is more like the paladin character. And then the character I chose is the spooky, a magic user not fully capable of controlling their magic yet. Though I played an 11-year-old girl with some troubling magic. And everyone gets to pick certain things. You have different sections on your character sheet where you have to make a few choices, but different character archetypes have to make different choices. Everyone gets to choose 3 core skills that fit their character, like I had commune with spirits or I had visions, and then I had to pick 3 darkness aspects of my character. There was hallucinations, guilt, and mood swings, for example, among those fun things. And then you decide on bonds between your characters, and the adventure just hits off. And we were in Norway and investigating a supernatural murder on a oil drilling island offshore during a pretty bad storm. And the fascinating thing that propels the story, indicates whether the story goes good or bad, are obviously your rolls. You roll with 2d6. If you attempt something and you roll a 10 or higher, it's fine. But if you roll a 6 to a 9, it happens, but it doesn't go off without a glitch. And then there is under a 6, which means bad things happen, which for my character, for example, meant that instead of communing with the spirits as she was planning to, she suddenly has scary hallucinations. The fun thing for me in this game was, even though I had information as me as a player, I often decided to act solely on the information that my character had, even though it was a disadvantage for me. And kind of getting into that mindset, I think that was like the most emotionally immersive game. It had a really satisfying end as well. Even though it felt like we didn't have all the answers, on the very last moment, it kind of went full circle. And yeah, and then I went home. Now is that post-convention crash, as Will Wheaton would say, just play more games. Yeah. So now I have to find some people for a crew. There's a quote there somewhere that's like, I'm looking, oh no, I'm thinking of Gandalf, looking for some people for an adventure. That is not the exact quote, but like, I have to Gandalf this shit. Yeah. I don't know, play more games, people. Get into it. And if there's an event close to you and you feel like you're not prepared enough or you've never played, my experience this weekend was like that people were really open and accepting, and there were formats that even the veterans had never played. Sometimes you have similar starting grounds, sometimes you don't, but people are happy to help out. And just play your character, even if your character makes stupid decisions, or even if you roll low, sometimes that's the best thing that can happen to a game. Role-playing games are made up of the critical roles and the 20s and the successes, but they're also live from the near misses and the utter failures, because what would a story be without its lows? I don't know, I'm just really pumped and I wanted to make a video about it. Anyway, talk to you guys later. If you're into role-playing, tell me about your experiences in the comments. If there's a format that you are so jazzed about and you think more people need to know about it, tell me about it in the comments. If you know how to get like a role-playing crew into one place, tell me your secrets, man. And yeah, play more games.